Good morning, YouTube. It's Keen again. Today I am absolutely exhausted after playing the Splatoon 3 test fire because I ended up streaming that for about 14 or 15 hours. I'm recording this maybe an hour or two after I wake up the following day. So today I wanted to make like a quote-unquote quick video, I don't know how long this will be, where I go over my thoughts about a ton of stuff in the test fire basically. There were lots of subs, specials, weapon kits, and more to talk about, so I want to jump right into it as soon as I can, because this is going to be kind of a quick thoughts, initial impressions, that sort of thing. If you're curious how it went, I'll be uploading the stream VOD to my archive channel, though I might upload this video first, because it'll take quite a long time to process, you know, like a 14-hour VOD, so keep an eye out, sub to that if you haven't. I'll have that in the description. While you're down there, subscribe if you haven't already, because I have plans for loads and loads of Splatoon 3 videos when it drops in about 2 weeks, and I'll have a ton of gameplay videos between now and then from the test fire. But yeah. First of all, I had a absolutely ridiculous amount of fun, and it was just super refreshing getting to have that feeling of Splatoon feeling new again. I'll start the video by talking about sub-weapons. I really like that they nerfed lethal bombs across the board, in case you didn't notice. They shrunk the lethal radius of a lot of bombs quite a bit. Not like by a massive amount, they still do their job effectively, but I think it's just a good quality of life and leads to less random bomb kills, which is nice. Because bombs have traditionally been the strongest subs, so, you know, toning them down a little bit is just really nice, and I enjoy that. For the new sub-weapons, the only new one was really Angle Shooter, and it was only on Pro. I think it was cool to combo with the damage. It's not a sub I think is amazing, but the fact the sub does damage just makes it, you know, fun to mess around with on Pro, and I was kind of clamoring when they revealed that. I said that sub needs to do damage for it to be interesting, and it does. It does 30 damage, and it's like pretty much hit scan. It hits like instantly, so it's fun to mess with. I enjoy it. So now I think I'm going to talk about specials first, actually, because there's quite a few to talk about. I'm going to start with Trizuka. Trizuka's duration is actually a lot shorter than I expected, but I think it's a really, really strong special with a lot of potential, but I think people are just not completely used to using it right now. It does have quite a bit of lag after shooting it. Again, it's only 3 shots, but if you make them count, they are obscenely good. The AoE on it is massive. Like, it does 220 on direct, and I think 40 on the weak hit. Super duper super strong. Expect to see that a lot more when the game actually drops. Big Bubbler, I like the special conceptually, but it's hard to super gauge how good the special is. It's essentially a glorified splash ball. In a sense, it's just big bubble, and you can shoot the top or inside the middle, and it'll shrink it, which I think is really, really fun. Though I think it'll be more practical to see how good it is, you know, in a mode with objective to it, like tower control. I could see it being anything if you can put it on top of the tower, kind of, you know, protect a teammate on a checkpoint, that sort of thing. Zipcaster is a special that I think a lot of people were definitely struggling with at first, but I think it's just really, really, really fun at its core, which is important in a game like this. I adored using the special even when I didn't really get any value or I just died straight up, because it's just so fun. Like, you're just in the middle of the map and suddenly you go whoosh and you go across the entire map. It's really, really fun. And, you know, those rare moments you did manage to get multi-kills with it, it feels so satisfying. I don't think it's particularly strong right now, but it's just so fun. I can't help but love it. Next special I want to talk about is Wavebreaker. It's a bit weird at first because there are sort of height limitations to it depending upon where you place it and whether it'll affect people like above and below you. Like, height is a bit finicky. You'll have to mess with that to kind of understand better yourself. I'm surprised that they let you break it because its duration isn't actually that long, and I don't know what health it has, but it felt pretty low, so I'm surprised about that. Conversely, the next special, Tacticooler. You've probably seen a ton of talk about this on Twitter. It's kind of obscene. Despite the fact you can break something like Wavebreaker and Big Bubbler. You can't break Tacticooler, and you would think, okay, like, if you can't break it, it can't be that good, right? No. Tacticooler feels really overtuned to me, because it offers mobility buffs in terms of swim speed, run speed, and that new ability it's not main power, it's intensify action up, basically, and what that does in the context of Tacticooler is it removes a weapon's jump in accuracy. So say when you're playing NZAP, it has, you know, a certain amount of accuracy while standing. If you jump, it's much, much worse. That's generally the rule of thumb for a lot of weapons in this game. Tacticooler says heck that. You can start jumping with NZAP and it's completely as accurate as it would be on the floor, and that's kind of silly. So those buffs sound pretty good by themselves, but no, that's not it. If you grab a can from Tacticooler and you die with the effect on, you respawn practically instantly, and it doesn't even end there. You can die after getting all those buffs, killing multiple people, respawn instantly, but no, on top of that, if you die with the effects on, you respawn with 100% of the special you had before you died, and that is just insane to me, and the fact it affects 4 people makes the risk-reward on this a bit ludicrous. So I expect something about the special to get readjusted in the future. I think it's way too strong as it is now. It needs to be toned down in some sense, just at a glance, because we're playing Turf War, and even I'm just sitting there, like, I'm getting 2 to 3 kills. I trade on the last one. I retain my entire special meter. I jump back in instantly. The other team is, just beginning to respawn by the time I'm already back in there with my full special gauge. It's really goofy. It's very fun to abuse, but it's definitely that kind of, like, early day one nonsense that, will get adjusted down the road most likely. But it's really fun to abuse, and I'll get into the weapon specifics in a bit. Next special I want to talk about is the Ink Vac. It's again hard to kind of gauge this from Turf War. We did, learn you can overload the vacuum if it absorbs too much stuff. You can pretty much shoot at the person, they'll die. So, you can force those kinds of scenarios if someone's trying to, ink vacuum in a way that is, they're trying to take too much at once. You can hit it from the back, but this was a bit trickier than I thought it would be. I don't know exactly. It's going to take more time to experiment and really learn how to, counterplay the special, but it's fun. It's satisfying, taking a bunch of resources and kind of just, sort of like counter/mirror code, just I take all this, I dish it all back immediately kind of thing. The range on when you spit it back out is quite massive. I was very surprised by that, and actually the projectile itself, even before the projectile you expel explodes itself, it actually one-shots, which is surprising. It's kind of funny getting that on someone like that's trying to face rush you, so it's really satisfying in that sense, so I kind of like this one. Next special I want to talk about is Killer Whale 5.1. This is actually one of my favorites in this. I adore this special. It is one of those specials that I really praise because, the duration isn't super long, so it's not the most obnoxious thing in the world, but it has a definite impact, and, when you have infinite range specials, I always say those are kind of finicky to balance, but I think they did a good job with this one. You can play with your main weapon, your sub-weapon, while it's up, so I think that made a lot of really interesting, engagements with stuff like Brush and Gal, and I'll talk about those more in a bit, but I really like this special, and I think it's one of the stronger ones in the test fire. Really, really good. Crab Tank. I was surprised how good the cross-firing potential is with Crab, but I was also surprised at how immobile and kind of clunky it felt sometimes. The main one, if you played this one, you'll notice is like the turning speed on it felt really, really, really bad. If you try and turn to someone that, swam behind you, you pretty much have to curl into a ball and reopen in the other direction to even have a chance, because it's very similar to how, like, if you open a Barrel Shield and you try and turn your camera 180 immediately, it sort of, like, drags a little bit behind you, like, it doesn't completely follow your character perfectly. It reminds me of that, so it's a bit weird in that sense. So I think in the future, people might be, like, good at abusing that. You can still kill the person in the Crab Tank if you do headshots, stuff like that, so Charger might kind of have a field day with that one if anyone's exposed on that, but it's a really fun special. I enjoy it. I think it's just fun. Next special I want to talk about is one that actually makes me unreasonably happy. Like, it just sounded like a kind of whatever special to me, but as I played the test fire more and more and more, I love this one, Reef Slider. Reef Slider makes me insanely happy just on the premise of the developers pretty much figured out how to make Splashdown actually kind of fun. So how the special works is you get on the inflatable shark, and you're susceptible in the very beginning, so it's not like a great panic button if someone's already on top of you, which is fine, like, that's good. But the second that you're already traveling, you're completely invincible. And while you do have a set path on your track, you can choose to detonate early, which is good, because you can kind of react to things around you. But if you abuse this with certain bits of stage elevation, let's say, like if you're on an elevated part of the stage, you can sort of like jump over smaller gaps with it. Like, you're not jumping, but it moves at such a fast speed that you can, skip over stuff. So the padding can be a bit deceptive, and you can really, really catch people off guard. And I think it's incredible in Tetra, but I'll talk about that more in a bit. Also, when you run over someone, it just instantly removes them, and that's hilarious. Like, I had times where I'm popping it, saying I'm going in, and I get a random pick on some person, and it's so satisfying. I love the little pose at the end. They go up and then down. Big explosion, hitbox. The sour spot does 60, which is really, really high for how big it is. I feel like the general reaction to seeing this kind of special for most people I was watching is to kind of go like, oh, like it sort of jump scares them. It's really funny. I enjoy this one way more than I thought I would. Conversely, Triple Ink Strike. I think the special was good, but I was under the impression you'd be able to swim with it and stuff, or like play with your main weapon and stuff. No, you can't do any of that, which kind of made it feel a bit clunky and bleh at first. I do think it's good. It's good at what it does. It's a very short and sweet special, but I'm a little bit disappointed at how vulnerable you feel, but that might just be like, that might just take time to be, getting adjusted to it, popping it in better spaces, combining it with other specials that'll feel much more potent, but it caught me off guard. I was surprised that you have like so little mobility during it. I think that covers it for new specials. The only returning specials we had in the demo itself was Inkjet and Ultra Stamp. from what I was told, I think I was told that they increased the hitbox size of the direct, but kind of shrunk the AoE a bit, and that's fine. The directs are like the most fun part about jetpack and the most satisfying, so that's cool. Trav's the only weapon that had it. I don't think jetpack will be great in this game just for a myriad of reasons, but you know, it's still jetpack at its core. It's kind of fun when you get multi-picks with it, so I like it. Conversely, Ultra Stamp. Within the first like 15 to 20 minutes of stream, I picked this and I was trying to do the glitch in Splatoon 2 where you can throw it through walls. It seems that they patched that out because the way it worked in 2 is because every character is right-handed, you would kind of like poke it between the wall and the game would spawn the hammer inside the wall, so therefore it would go through. What they seem to have done in regards to that is they made the hammer throw projectile sort of spawn more in the middle of your character, so from what I tried, it seems like you can't do that anymore, or at least it's not the same method. So that in itself is kind of a nerf on the fun factor, but you know, I get it, it's an exploit, fine. But for the special itself and how it's intended to be used, it still sucks. It has like all the same problems. I saw so many people getting hit like point blank with the thing and just not dying, and it's a miserable special. I said weeks ago, I was telling people on stream like, no, this is like a bottom 3 special on day 1 of the game. It's not even day 1 of the game. This is 2 weeks before the game came out, and yeah, no, that special's garbage. It's awful. It's terrible. But they did do one buff, and that is if you throw it at someone, the direct hitbox did 120, I think, in Splatoon 2. They made it 220, so it's better at breaking stuff. It still sucks, yeah. I don't know what else to say, it's just terrible. So going on from specials, I want to talk about the maps for a bit. First one I'll cover is Scorch Gorge. This is that flat open kind of desert map they showed. The general focus on this map is the top mid area, and then everything around it's kind of flat. It's just a very tall middle platform. Kind of gives me Black Belly vibes, but the top is really, really, really small. I'm surprised how tiny it was. And the thing about Turf War here is if you want to get into enemy spawn without the use of specials, you have to get up there and then walk across an uninkable grading path. So that's pretty much the dynamic. They definitely built this map with Zipcaster in mind. Actually, did I talk about Zipcaster on the specials? Yeah, I did. Okay, I was just wondering for a second. Okay, my bad. It's kind of a bit unedited because it's just initial thoughts and impressions, so I'm not going to make it perfect. But yeah, they definitely had Zipcaster in mind when they made this map. Because you have those giant metal caging sort of things, and you can actually use Zipcaster inside of that, walk around inside it, and that's just really fun. I enjoy that. For what it is, my favorite detail about this map is actually not so much about the layout. I really like when you spawn on the map. I forget if I think it's on both sides. They have the old spawn sort of like circle with the little arrows in the middle of it. They have it there, but it's covered with a tarp because the new spawn system doesn't use that. So I thought that was really, really, really cool. I like that a lot. Next map that they've shown early was Eeltail Alley. It kind of has a similar idea with Scorch Gorge, where it sort of has that elevated area above a very flat terrain underneath, but instead of being like a tiny little square with that high elevated wall, the catwalk is a bit shorter, but it's sort of like a long, like, curved, sort of eel-shaped path to it, and there's cool interactions. You can be a bucket underneath it, get someone on top, things like that. You know, it's nothing crazy. I didn't love the map. I didn't dislike the map. It's fine. I think it's meant to be sort of like the Urchin Underpass slash Reef kind of sort of map design. You know, the background elements were cool. Like you have like the apartment buildings there. You have like I think there was like that train over it, stuff like that. That's neat. It's fine. My favorite map from the demo actually ended up being Undertow Spillway, and that's just like I think part of that's just the aesthetics alone, because it takes a really interesting map concept and kind of applies it. And Undertow is interesting because it doesn't really fall into the thing where a lot of Splatoon maps are kind of like, yeah, this is your top mid, you just stand up here kind of thing. No, it kind of reminds me of Snapper. It's sort of split down the middle, and that split in the middle has sort of a curved wall with a really strange shape to it. And I feel like they built it that way for the sake of like squid rolls and squid surges and all that stuff. It's really fun. Like I was surprised how much I enjoyed this one. It felt like a very unique layout and like nothing like a lot of maps I've seen before. So it really stood out the most to me, like as an individual standalone. Like yeah, this is a new map from a new game, and it was really cool in that sense. On the other hand, I think my least favorite map in the entire test fire was Mincemeat Metalworks. It didn't really do anything for me. Again, it kind of felt like sort of the standard map layout. It reminded me of Eeltail Alley, which I played that map first before Mincemeat Metalworks. You know, you might have played Mincemeat first and then Eeltail later, but for me, I played Mincemeat on my second rotation, I think it was. It kind of has a similar layout. The bottom's kind of just flat, the top is in slightly elevated area. You want control of that. The difference is it's kind of a mix of the two former maps because there's like a platform you can paint, a little bit of an uninkable grading, a platform you can paint, a little bit of an uninkable grading. But I don't know, it's just, there wasn't really a lot of stage geometry to work with. If you want to get into enemy spawn, you have to like walk up an unequal path, you know, kind of reminds me of like the right side of Bluefin in a way. That's the only way to get into enemy spawn. I don't know, nothing really struck me as particularly interesting on this map. They had these sort of cars on it, but they don't move. Like, I was kind of, if they made them move like the forklifts on port, that would have been really cool, honestly, but they don't, so I don't know, I didn't really feel anything for this one. Then we have the two retro maps, or I guess three technically with Sturgeon, but I'm not going to talk about Sturgeon really, because it was for Tricolor and I only got to play like one of those. Mahi has this general structure intact, but the spawns are a lot smaller. The map feels more like a tiny little like box, as opposed to like the really long lanes you had in Splatoon 1, which is like fine, it plays fine. I think the middle could be a little bit bigger, if anything. Like, I think the map could use like slight adjustments, but I think it's like close to being really good, but it's fun. I got a bit sick of it because I was just getting it repeatedly. I wanted to play Scorch Gorge. I think I got this map like 7 or 8 times in a row. It's kind of ridiculous, but so, whatever. Museum, my favorite map from Splatoon 1 comes back. It's like fundamentally the same. They changed how the spawn is like a little bit on the far side, but the rotating platforms, it's a little bit lower of an elevation. But it's fine, it's good. I think the specials work really well here, especially Zipcaster. Zipcaster on the walls are really fun. Like, you would think it's actually designed for Splatoon 3, but no, like, it just so happened that this map that they designed back then actually works really well in the context of 3. You know, you can do stuff like Reslider up top mid, that's really, really fun. Yeah, I don't know, nothing much really changed, and I don't think anything needed to change. It's just a really fun map. That covers map, so let's talk about the weapon kits a bit. This video is already going a bit lengthy, so I'm going to be a bit more brief on the weapons. Junior. I don't think Big Bubbler synergizes with it very well for its range. Honestly, I was really underwhelmed at this weapon. I don't super mind. I didn't really like Splatoon 2 Junior by design. I've talked about it a lot, how it has like infinite ink, just spams bombs, a ton of value from a special that it didn't have to be near teammates. I'm fine if Junior's just mediocre. I don't care, to be honest. Aerospray, the other spray shooter. The kit on this is really, really, really fun. Like, genuinely. Fizzy Bomb helps it farm for special, and it paints really, really well, so you can get a ton of resliders with this A, but B, you can sort of flush people out, force them to move because you throw Fizzy at them, and then, you know, they might drop from a platform, you reslider into them, or you can combo the damage values from Fizzies you throw in the air and then approach with reslider, stuff like that. The main weapon's not good, but I had so much fun with this. Like, I think when I was grinding, like, or not even like grinding, I was just playing like the pro mode. I think I got like 2500, and I was just having fun with this. I wasn't even like going crazy with it. It was just fun. Like, genuinely, it was just really fun. And I think you need a really fun kind of kit on a weapon like Aerospray, because the main weapon is not good. Like, it's an inaccurate 5-shot BB gun. Like, it's so bad. But the fact I had as much fun as I did just shows they gave it a really solid kit. Spotter Shot is really rounded. You know, strong lethal, really strong special. That's kind of the case with a lot of Spotter Shots. There's not really a ton to say more than that. Gal, sort of same deal. Very strong main weapon. Or like kind of basic main weapon, but it works well in the context of like it has a good kit. Like Wall is good on Gal for all the same reasons it usually is, kind of deny its faces and all that. You can fight safely behind a wall, all that sort of stuff. Whale's really cool on this one. You can sort of you can like pop a whale, go initiate, throw a wall so the person can't really fight you back, you know, that kind of thing. It's really fun. I don't mind it because it's more interactive kind of weapon than in Splatoon 2, because in Splatoon 2, I think Booyah Bomb plus Wall, you kind of felt like a raid boss sort of weapon that's not really fun to fight, so it's a lot more interactive and I enjoy it quite a bit. Zap is a lot more fun to play just on the premise of the special actually allows it to die and sort of fight. Like, dying with Zap or like Junior in Splatoon 2 is like terrible, but like if you have the tactical effect and you get a multi-kill with Zap, it doesn't feel bad. Like, it's fine. Like, I had games where I go like 9-3 or like 9-4, but like it felt fine. Like multiple of my deaths were tactical or one, so it's like, yeah, I did well. It's good. So it's a lot more interactive. That's fun. That's really good. We want to see that. Pro combos with the new sub, very fun in that sense. I think Crab is neat. Don't like Pro much as a main weapon, but the fact I played it for a decent, you know, bit shows that the kit is really fun, and I think the new sub is really built with that one in mind, honestly. Linda Blaster, I don't think it's very good, but the Zipcaster is just inherently fun. I found myself picking Octobrush way more because I think it's a bit more competent with the kit that it has. The main weapon makes more sense, but, you know, if you want to mess with Zipcaster, you had this and Octobrush as your choices. I feel like more people picked Octobrush, though, and I think, you know, like, Octobrush, like, just did better with Zipcaster, but yeah, and then, like, Luna's kind of whatever. I didn't really feel anything for it. Blaster I didn't pick much since it's Turf, and again, Big Bubbler and Turf, you know, it's a little bit weird. It's not really a painting weapon. That sort of thing. I think it has good synergy, though. Like, a Blaster inside of it, you know, kind of have that, like, literal threat bubble, which is cool. Roller's had a sort of similar deal. Roller has an actual special attached to Curling Bomb. I think that's awesome. It's really liberating to see that after having Splashdown for 5 years. Dynamo is the second tactical weapon that we had. This one's really, really fun. The mobility buffs on this and the fact that you have the QR effect, it really throws me back to like Splatoon 1. It's really cool. Like once you get a can, it feels like you're like super mode basically, because you're normally like this really heavy, clunky, like I can't move kind of weapon. But then you like, so, I don't know how much like swim speed or run speed you get from tactical, but like it feels like you have like max run speed. It's really, really funny. It's so enjoyable. I love the kit on this. And then Sprinkles quality of life, where it paints your feet if you throw it. Like it helps Dynamo move, not get stuck as like badly as it would before. Like Dynamo's kit is perfect. Like it's genuinely so much fun, and like having the additional mobility options from like Squid Roll and Squid Surge, it's just really fun. Like if you played it, you know what I mean. Like I love this kit. It's fantastic. Speaking of kits, I really love Inkbrush. Inkbrush's kit is so good. Inkbrush with the spot bomb is so good because Inkbrush as a main weapon was really bad in Splatoon 1. They ended up fixing it in 2, so it actually functioned. But the kit with the spot bomb in 2 was stuck with Splash on. That sucks. Like, it's not good. So to have like one of those specials that kind of play the game for you in a little bit, like you can kind of like have it do its own thing and you go do your own thing at the same time with Inkbrush, it's so much fun. Like you throw a bomb at someone, they have to react, you like roll at someone, they have to react, you combine those with the whale and like its ability to paint for whale, and the fact it's a 180 on top of that, it's so much fun. Genuinely, like you could run around the map, force people to move, help your teammates get kills, just force people to move in awkward ways, and then you just swing at them and you get them. Like it's so much fun. I love the Inkbrush so much in this Fire. I think it's the perfect kit. Like whoever came up with it, it's awesome. It's perfect. I would not change anything. Octobrush, again, kind of the zipcaster I think most people were picking. Really, really fun on Museum especially. You can kind of like zipcast onto the platform, kill like a heavier E-liter sitting up there or whatever. Really satisfying. Do we think Zipcaster is amazing? Not really yet, but it's fun just swinging at people with Zipcaster. Like I can totally see this being like a popular pick just on that alone. Once people kind of understand Zipcaster a bit more, even in like lower ranks or whatever. Like I think people will grow to enjoy this. Not necessarily at like a competitive level, but more so just like general pick rate for fun. I think Octobrush will be up there. Charger I didn't mess with that much, but the kit seems fine on paper. Fine. That's all good. E-liter, I really like the kit on this thing. Inkmine's really good to combo with partials if people try and get on top of you, so that's always been good. Wavebreaker's awesome because it forces a reaction in a certain general space. So it's kind of the thing, it's like, okay, like jump over this or I'm gonna like see you and you're gonna get chipped. And that's really good on a weapon that can, force, or can like get picks on people that are forced to move in ways they don't want to, and Wavebreaker's really, really good for that, so I really like the leader kit. Slosher, kind of the story of the T-Tech thing, just like really solid main weapon, plus really good bomb, plus special that I think is quite good, even if a bit awkward at first. Just extremely solid, seems like one of the best weapons. Can't really say much more than that. I'm surprised I didn't play it a whole lot, but I feel like I'm going to end up playing it a lot in the full version of the game just because it looks really, really solid. Trice kit is weird first, it kind of has the energy of like Splashomatic in Splatoon 2. Like it had Mist Jetpack. It's weird at first. I've always wanted like a Slosher with jetpack, and they ended up giving it to like kind of the baby gun one. But functionally hard, still try. It's good at just trading with people, that sort of thing. It's fun. It's neat. I enjoy try as a main weapon, so it's cool by me. Heavy main weapon. Pretty much every main weapon went untouched in this, but they'll adjust that later. I think they're more worried about their sub specials and all that for right now, like Squid Roll and Surge. Heavy as a main weapon I don't really enjoy a lot, and also the run speed shoes and hat they had in the demo were horrendous and I didn't even want to play those. But Wavebreaker on a longer range weapon is actually really enjoyable for similar reasons to later. You kind of force people to react to you and you can kind of crossfire your team for that, so that's fun. I like it, it's neat. Hydra getting a Booyah Bomb's awesome. Like, the fact Hydra can play its game, and if it gets whaled or something and it doesn't instantly have to jump out or die, sort of like Stingray and S2, is just really, really good. And like it's a special, it helps its team. It doesn't paint well, so it doesn't get a ton of them, but it's not so much about like farming Booyah really with a weapon like Hydra, it's more like let me play my game at my pace and don't interrupt me kind of special, and that's really, really good for it, so I enjoy it a lot. Flat didn't play with it a lot. I kind of wish I did a bit more. I think Crab is really fun on it. I don't really like Suction. It doesn't synergize a ton. It's sort of like how K-Dooley in Splatoon 2 had Suction Ball, or like, it was more so about the survivability with that thing. I think the crossfiring potential with Crab is kind of cool. Like, Dooley's mobility, turning into that is kind of interesting. So I kind of wish I played it more. I guess I'll mess with it more later. Tetra's one of my favorites in this as well, because like Tetra as a main weapon is super fun to splash on. It's just like, ugh, and Light Tetra we don't talk about. So to have a Reslider, which is special, that ended up being way more fun than I thought it would be on this, is amazing. I loved it. It was great. Like, genuinely one of my favorite weapons in this by far. On the other hand, a bit disappointing, Splatbrella. Main weapon being unchanged is not good. The netcode or people's general connections, some mix of the two. Probably people's connections because it's turf war, right? You get shot through shield like a lot. That's really bad. Blink Strike is solid, but Sprinkler is not really anything special. Like, there's not really a ton to talk about with this weapon. Like, I like it conceptually, but I don't think the kit really does anything for us. I don't see myself playing this very much at like launch or anything. I think the weapon needs like main weapon buffs that'll come like later, so we'll see at that point. But for right now, I don't see myself playing it a ton. It's really cute aesthetically. I like that, the little torpedo design. Like, it's adorable. It's just not really satisfying to play, honestly, at the moment. Tent is cool. I like the synergy between shield and vacuum. I really want to try it in rank. That's pretty much the extent of that. It's still fundamentally a tent, so cool. Last two weapons, Tri-Stinger and Wiper. Those are the two new ones. Tri-Stinger, I think a lot of people didn't really fully understand, me included, how to play. I think by the end of it, I kind of understood a bit more, so I want to try it more now. Because it feels like sort of like a mid-range crossfire kind of presence. Sort of plays in the way like an Explo would, in a sense, like you don't really want to get on top of people. And I have to, you know, I understand the mechanics a bit better now, like the first level of charge, second level of charge, the horizontal versus vertical kind of thing. My main complaint is you can't jump and charge with it the way, like, at full speed, basically, and you need to jump to do a vertical. So it feels like you can't fully do what they want you to do. Also, the way it paints is really weird. In order to paint optimally, you have to, like, face your camera to the sky and shoot, because the thickest part of the paint is at the tip of the range. So when you normally shoot, like, in the distance, like, you know, looking forward like a normal weapon, there's like no paint between you and that, or it's really ugly, basically. So the way it paints is really like a bit unnatural to me, but like I can learn that, that's fine. But really cool idea. I think it just needs, like, if you let it charge and if you let it charge while jumping, it'll feel a lot more natural, because there are times you want to do like the vertical, so you jump because you want to do that, but you have to like stand still and then jump. But it doesn't feel quite right. Like, I don't know how to describe it outside of that. Wiper's cool as a concept. I think Torpedo's a fun sub in the sense of, like, it can combo with the damage values it has, but every time I played this thing, I was just lamenting the fact I have Stamp, because Stamp doesn't really, it feels like such an awful special, so, like, I want to like this weapon so much more than I actually did, so in the end I'm going to end up playing, like, the heavyweight version, or, I don't know if it's heavyweight, I think it is, the Stamper in the final game in like 2 weeks. I really want to try that one, because like Splatoon Viper has like the pieces to make something kind of interesting, but it's just like when one of those pieces is Ultra Stamp, it feels like you're just trying to like slap like a really mismatched puzzle piece from a different puzzle entirely into somewhere it doesn't belong, and it makes no sense, and you're like, why are you even doing that? So that's a shame. That covers like pretty much most of the gameplay stuff, so I'll talk about like really briefly some of the other stuff. Music. I love the music. The music is so good. I love that the idols have their own solos in the plaza when they're little like bits and like floats in Splatfest, like they like travel around the plaza. I like that. That's really cute. The song I chose for this video is my favorite battle theme. It's been stuck in my head like all like, well, not all day because I played all day yesterday, but it's so good. It's so good. I love it. Animations in general in the game, they look a lot better. I love the animations in the plaza, the little dances, the interactions between different characters. It's cute. It's really, really cute. My favorite one screen is actually with Brella, the way they kind of like stick it on the floor and put their like arms on top of it. It's super cute. A lot of the animations look more smooth across the board, especially like I noticed this a lot on stream, like swinging with brush or like walking with a roller in your hand. It looks a lot more natural, so that's really good. I think they did a great job with that. And yeah, last thing, Splatfest results. Team Rock won. I went Team Rock. If you expected anything else, I think you're a bit silly. Shiver said it's the most solid choice overall, so why would you go anything else? It was so obvious in the first place. Everyone totally knew that. Totally. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts. This video is almost half an hour, so I think that's pretty sufficient. I probably forgot some stuff here and there, but that's fine. This is like an unscripted video. Me just like kind of like, you know, like being like, oh my gosh, this game's so cool. Like that's kind of like that kind of video. So, you know, hopefully that's fine. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be uploading a ton of gameplay videos where I sort of take snippets from the really, really long stream and upload it between now and launch. I'm really excited. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm really excited to make more content about Splatoon 3 and be uploading a ton of stuff in the next like 2 weeks. So that'll be really good. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what your favorite weapon was, favorite specials, all that. I'm really interested. It feels like a lot of people have really different opinions on a lot of things, but you know, it's fair. It's only like a one-day glimpse into a game with a ton of stuff to talk about, so I'm really curious to hear from you. It's been Keen. I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great one. I'll catch you then. You.